Hi and welcome to another edition of the Armourer's Bench. My name's Matt. Today we're looking at what is actually quite a long cavalry carbine. This is a Durs Egg. Now Durs Egg was a Swiss-born gun maker that moved to London in the latter part of the 18th century. This musket is actually based upon a design by Giuseppe Crespi, a Milanese clockmaker, gunmaker, machinist. Now this is one of the earliest flintlock breech loaders, and it uses an ingenious system. What we'll do in a minute is we'll bring the camera forward and show how the action works. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this was a cavalry carbine. We can tell that from the sling attachment bar, which is on the left hand side of the musket. Let's just turn this around so we can show that. There we go. Now this is quite long for a carbine, but in the 1780s these were tested at the request of the Duke of Richmond by several light dragoon regiments in the British Army. In addition to it being quite long, it also comes with a long spear point bayonet. Now the spear point bayonet is integrally carried beneath the musket, and it sits the length of the musket with the arrow-shaped spearhead. Now we'll get that out and show you that in a moment. So what we'll do next is we'll bring the camera back and we'll take a closer look at how this really unusual action works. Let's take a closer look at how the action worked. The handle will be rotated up, brought forward, and then the breech block was lifted into a 90-degree position. This would be then loaded with powder and then seated with a ball on top, and then the breech block itself was ready to be pushed forward again and then locked off. On this side we can see a piece of spring steel, and that holds the breech block in place and gives a little resistance to the opening of the action. Also on this side is a locking recess where the bolt handle rotates into. So we can just see that here where my thumb is. That locks in like that. Now, one of the drawbacks of Crespi's design, even with these carbines made by Durs Egg, was that the seal was not gas tight, and around the breech face, despite being angled, gases still escaped. So let's take a look at the integrally stored bayonet if we can in shot. So the bayonet slides from underneath the carbine, and then look at the length, extremely long. Spear bayonet is flipped and then is attached, as many other standard bayonets were at the time. It is a socket bayonet. There's the socket, and that, let's just see if we can get this into shot. There we go. That was slid over the barrel and attached by twisting that way. So here we have an extremely long reach of a bayonet. There we go. Extremely long. You can see the socket there. We'll get a close-up of that in a moment. And then to remove, it's the same process. Twist, push forward, and then reverse. To load the Durs Egg carbine, using Crespi's system, the ball handle was pulled upwards, rotated forwards, and then pushed upwards, bringing the breech block up to 90 degrees. And then powder and then a ball could be loaded. Once loaded, this could be pushed back into place and then locked. Then the hammer would be brought to, the cock would be brought to half cock. It's a little loose on this example, sadly. And priming powder would be placed in the frizzen, and then the musket was ready to fire. In the early 1770s, just over 2,000 of Crespi's original design were produced for use by the Austrian army. These were a contemporary of the Giordoni air rifle. As I mentioned, these were issued to a number of different British light cavalry regiments, and these included the 7th, 10th, 11th, 15th and 16th Light Dragoons. In 1788, the Duke of Richmond's trials came to an end, and the light cavalry regiments that had been issued with the Durs Egg carbines reported that despite the action being quicker to load than a conventional muzzle loading carbine, the carbine itself was a little too long. The report also suggested that perhaps instead of the integrally stored spear point bayonet, a folding shorter bayonet could have been added. Sadly, this example has taken a bit of a knock just to the rear of the lock here, but in otherwise excellent condition. In 1817, Crespi's design was again revisited by Urbanus Sartoris, introduced a interrupted screw breech with a moving barrel rather than moving breech block. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this look at what is a very early military breech loader. A very interesting footnote in the history of breech loading firearms. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and tune in again. Thanks.